You're listening to The Upland Rookie, a podcast presented by Gunner Kennels, Onyx Hunt, Nastra, and Inukshuk Professional Dog Food. And you're listening to episode 92 with David Lessard. I want to welcome and thank my newest sponsor, Nastra, the National Shoot Retrieve Association, for being a sponsor of this podcast. Super proud to be connected with Nastra. It's been a field trial game I have loved for many years. Nastra has been a premier walking field trial organization since 1978, with 31 regions across the continental U.S. and Canada, hosting over 800 trials per year. If you're looking for a fun, family-oriented field trial association or organization for you and your dog, Nastra is the place to be. All pointing breeds are welcome, and Nastra has a unique amateur program to help teach and coach new handlers as they get started in their field trial career. If you are looking to extend your hunting season, learn new things, and make new friends along the way, this is the place to be. Check out nastra.org, that's NSTRA.org, to find a region close to you and follow along on social media, Facebook and Instagram. I'm also proud to welcome Gunner Kennels as one of the newer sponsors of the podcast as well. Gunner Kennels, the best kennel on the market today. Man's best friend deserves man's best kennel. You know, I've tried every single kennel brand on the market, all the big brands, tried them all, personally used them, and Gunner Kennels is where I have landed. It is the safest, toughest kennel out there on the market. They have everything you need from accessories, all-weather kits, food bowls, food crates, you name it. They're going to hook you up and make it last in the Gunner way. They over-engineer every single thing, and I love it. Check out gunnerkennels.com. I just picked up the new Food Crate 30. It is a perfect size for those quick weekend hunts, 3-4 day hunt, where you don't need to lug around the full food crate. So this Food Crate 30 is a really, really sweet deal. So check them out, gunner.com. You won't regret it. Inukshuk Professional Dog Food. Speaking of food crates with the Gunner segment, Inukshuk. You better take a full bag of Inukshuk and put it in that Food Crate 30 from Gunner. Perfect match. Inukshuk Pro, guys, it has been the best food I have fed my dogs. Again, I've tried I have not tried the food, but my dogs have. God, this went sideways. But Inukshuk, it's been a super high dense formula that I trust, I believe in. I've seen the results. I've seen my dogs on some other foods where I've needed to feed them a ton of food to keep their energy up and keep them going on those harder, longer hunts, early season, late season. Since switching to Inukshuk, I've never had an issue with my dogs' endurance on longer hunts, and it's just been a really high quality food. I love the company, run by really good people. So check out inukshukpro.com. My dogs are on the 26-16 right now in the summer, and as we roll into September, I will switch them back to the 30-25. Great formula, inukshukpro.com. Onyx Hunt. If you don't have it downloaded on your phone right now, I would encourage you, hit pause, go download Onyx, sign up for a subscription. Rookie 20 is going to save you 20% off your yearly membership to Onyx Hunt. Guys, it is a necessity. It is no longer a tool that you might need to have. Onyx Hunt, I believe, is a digital mapping software system that every hunter should have. Every hunter. Being able to carry that with you pre-season, during a hunt, to know exactly where you stand on public or private land, who owns what, where can you go, identifying different land types, crop types, tree species, you name it. Onyx Hunt is just a necessity. I believe a necessity to every hunter, whether you're big game, waterfowl, upland. I think it really shines in the upland space, though, being able to hunt public land and know exactly where that land is. That was a big struggle for me getting into upland hunting, was just knowing where I could hunt. Well, since I started using Onyx, it opened up a whole new world and thousands and thousands and thousands of acres of publicly accessible land. So check out onyxhunt.com. Get signed up as we head into season. So my question to my listeners right now is, where are you at? And it might seem like an odd question, but where are you at right now? Because I'll tell you where I am. I'm in the headspace right now of going, man, I just want to be out on the prairie. I just want to pull up to a wide open piece of land, get out of the truck, collar up the dogs, cut them loose, and follow them around with a shotgun in my hands. That's where I go right now. I just envision of what that looks like, what it smells like, what it feels like. And I know we are a little under 30 days from September 1st. I know if you're a September 1st open target date, then you're my people. you're the people I'm talking to. But where are you at right now? And I think the hard balance of life right now, that's where I want to be. But then I go, wait, it's 5:21 in the morning here in Colorado. I'm sitting in my dark garage, recording this intro, and then I'm going to go inside, get ready for work, and head out the door. And then we got kids starting school this week. We got all the fall things coming up, and all the aspects of life that kind of happen as well. But as a bird hunter, it's this hard balance. It's this tension that we have to live in. Of if you're like me, if you live in the suburbs, if you got family, kids, wife, work, job, all those things that maybe aren't in the dog industry. Maybe you're not the outliers of people who train dogs for a living or hunt for a living or whatever it might be. But for the vast majority of people like me, who, again, I'm an average guy who sits in my garage, records podcasts, and dreams about hunting. But then there's a flip side of it where, we have, jobs that we go to. We have wives, we have spouses, kids, hobbies, all those other things that compete for our time. And so I'm in a space of just feeling conflicted right now, going, this is where I kind of want to go. Is it September yet? Can I get the dogs out there? Can we go hunt? But then there's that tension of going, there's a balance. There's a balance of it. And so my question to you is, where are you at right now? Are you in that full guns a-blazing, let's go hunt them up right now? Are you feeling that tension as well? Are you feeling the tension of competing schedules, time, attention, all those things? Because I'll tell you, it's days like today. I'm getting ready to record this, and I was waiting for my computer kind of shut down. I had to wait for it to start back up. And I was just like, you know what? I just want to be out on the prairie right now. I just want to be out on the prairie with the dogs, chasing some birds. And so I know we'll get there. I know it'll take some intentionality. Again, maybe you're like me. Maybe you're trying to be mindful of your time and plan out your hunts and what you're going to target this year. But what is that plan for you? Where are you at right now? What are you looking forward to? Heading into September, October, chasing upland birds. I bet you got your dogs all ready to go. You're making your gear list. You are planning the map. You're looking at Onyx, dropping some pins, going, I'm gonna hit here and then go there. It's an exciting time to be in, and my encouragement would be enjoy it. This is a fun time. It's kind of that lead up to Christmas as a kid, right? It's that anticipation of something exciting coming, and just again under 30 days until September 1st. So all that to say, long ramble. Again, Will's random 5 a.m. thoughts, but where are you at? Shoot me a message on Instagram, tag me in a photo, a post, whatever it might be. Kind of let me know where you at right now, heading into September, under the 30-day countdown. Anyways, got a good episode for you guys today with David Lessard from Under 40 Yards. David and I have been meaning to catch up for a little while, and my schedule's just been a little crazy. And so finally, I was able to reach out to David, get him on the podcast, and I'm glad I did. It was a great conversation with David, fellow Illinoisan. So we were able to reconnect on living in the great state of Illinois. And we talk upland birds, some more about his past season ahead, his dogs, his film work on YouTube. He's crushing it. He's putting together some really quality videos that have good audio, praise the Lord. Good camera work, and all those things. We have a fun conversation, so I hope you'll enjoy it as much as I did. Hey, stay tuned. I did not do the Gunner bumper giveaway yet. Stay tuned for that to get signed up on Patreon. I was going to do it this past Friday, but things got a little crazy, and so I'll give it another week. But get signed up on Patreon if you want to win a Gunner bumper. I got 4 of those I'll be giving away to Patreon patrons. So head on over there. Until then, take care. Where you at?
Yeah, this is my kind of my basement workshop studio, if you will. So I do some all kinds of different work down here. Do my editing down here, and I'm an engineer by trade, so I do some other 3D printing and software design and stuff like that. So
very cool.
This is the spot.
Is your kind of your hangout lair.
Yeah.
I was watching some of your YouTube stuff, man. It's pretty cool.
Oh, thanks.
I like it.
It's a lot of fun.
Oh, I bet. And we'll get into that here in a little bit. But Dave, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for jumping on here with me. I'm excited to get to chat with you a little bit more and dive in here. I know you mentioned the season's coming soon. I think we're all getting ready to
fast approaching.
Yes, kind of itching.
Yeah.
What's kind of the target date for you? Is it a September 1st date? Is it a little later? What's your target?
Probably mid-September, really. I'm not much of a dove hunter. Don't really enjoy that. Dove hunting around here is not really that great. The Western trip I could start in September, but it's just a little bit too warm, I think, then. So we kind of wait a couple of weeks and try to avoid some of that extreme heat.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that and the pressure and all that.
Yeah. How about you, though?
All the people. Mine's probably very similar. Mine's going to be a little bit later September, probably. I'm going to try to get up north, Montana-ish, North Dakota area.
Right.
But that won't be till I got a kid who's got a bunch of stuff, hockey tryouts early September and pre-camp and all that stuff. So early September is going to be a little crazy. Got a couple things
quite the hockey family.
Yeah.
I saw the skate sharpener there. I'm envious of that. I used to play in high school and always a big hockey guy. So we would never even dream about having our own sharpener.
House, it's crazy how things have changed now. And someone came out with a in-home sharpener, and so I think we got to sharpen probably 1,000 pair of hockey skates to
pay for it.
Pay for it, but it's it saves you some trips to the hockey store. So
I mean, you're at the mercy of those guys. So
and prices were going up with sharpening, and we're like, you know what, might as well save ourselves the drive and hassle of, because we're with my older one right now. As much as he's skating, he's getting his skate sharpened 3-4 times a week. So we're like, why are we doing this? So
holy cow.
Yeah, so it's quite a bit.
Yeah.
But that's fun. So probably later September. I'll try to get up north and kick things off. But
it's hard to beat the prairies. I mean, it's kind of a newfound love for me.
Is it?
Yeah, we just started going a few years ago. So
nice.
Primarily a rough grouse hunter, so I've spent most of my hunting career in the woods. So and we chase pheasant and also on southern Wisconsin, but.
Yeah, right on. Well, Dave, before we get too much further, why don't you put our listeners on the map? Where are you talking to us from? And then give us a little overview. Who are you?
All right. Name's Dave Lessard, and I am sitting here outside of Rockford, Illinois, north central Illinois. Grew up in Illinois. I started hunting birds probably when I could legally do it, when I was 13. So that was more than 30 years ago. Primarily a rough grouse hunter. I've got a lot of family from northern Wisconsin, and that's primarily where I did it. So I spend as much time in Wisconsin and out of Illinois that I can. And there's not a whole lot here to offer except for work, but outside of that, you probably know the story there too. So, I grew up hunting grouse, partly behind a dog and most of the time without a dog up until the last 10, 12 years. We hunted without dogs. So
Okay.
one advantage of rough grouse hunting is you can be successful, with or without a dog.
Sure.
It's a hell of a lot more fun with a dog, but changes everything.
Something about the dog, man. It just
Yeah,
adds another element to it, as you
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
That's cool. Well, unpack your story a little bit more for us. What kind of pushed you over the edge to go down the upland hunting route? Was it family? Was it upbringing? Was it tell us a little bit more about what was that, and then how did that really kind of take a hold and get to you, help you where you are now? I guess. I mean, again,
Sure.
avid bird hunter, all that stuff.
Like a lot of us, it started with my dad, my grandfather. Our family was huge grouse hunters for years. My grandfather was a fishing guide on what's called the Chippewa Flowage in the Hayward, Wisconsin area. So my father grew up on that resort. So they grew up in the woods, hunting, fishing, everything. My dad went off to military and moved to Illinois after. This is where we grew up, but always had that connection up north. My grandparents had a place up there. So I was, at 5, 6 years old, I was walking with dad down the old logging trails. It was just something that the family did. And it was automatic at that point. As a kid, you're not really thinking about it, except that you want to do it when you get older, because you're watching your dad and it was a family event, uncles, brothers. We had kind of a big grouse camp back in those days in the 80s.
And sorry, were they doing this with dogs at the time, or
They were not. Now, my dad
okay.
grew up with springers, so they always had springers in the house. And later, my grandfather did have a Brittany, so he had a
Okay.
Brittany named Tim, and
Okay.
he was a real good woodcock dog. So we used to hunt over him when I just started hunting. That dog was
Okay.
still around. So my dad and uncles really had more enjoyment out of that dog. So
Mm.
after that, we didn't have a dog. We did get a short hair when I was 12. I had another uncle in Illinois that lived right near us, kind of had a kennel of his own. So he had, gosh, at least 8 or 12 short hairs of his
Wow.
own. So he started a small breeding, and he ended up giving me one when the dog was about 6 months old.
Okay.
And, I could go on a tangent about that dog for an entire episode. Just
Positive, negative.
it depends on how you look at it. Just really a wild animal. Those days we had, no discipline for training, no
Sure.
knowledge. That dog had a affinity for the neighbor's chickens. Um, he had an affinity for anything with fur. I mean,
Oh, lot
I
of
was
fur
just telling a
drive.
story just the other day that he literally killed every single animal that he met, except for other dogs. And
Wow.
so he would get along fine with other dogs. We had some friends with dogs and
Sure.
cats. He wasn't. He was actually okay with cats, but if there was a rabbit, squirrel, fox, raccoon,
Wow.
possum, he
It
killed
was it was
everything in sight.
it was gone.
It was unbelievable. And
Wow.
one day we came out and I was playing with him in the yard, throwing a ball or something, and which I did frequently. And then he took off and didn't come back for like 30 minutes. And 30 minutes later, here he comes dragging a gray fox through the yard, and he plops it down at my feet, and he just looks at me, you know. And I
That's
was like, wow,
awesome.
this dog is something, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
from there, he continued to just slaughter everything. Because I would take my
Wow.
BB gun, like we all
Sure.
had. We had a lot of property behind the house, and rode dirt bikes and all that
Sure.
stuff. I was into motocross for a while, and
Yeah.
and we would walk back there, and he would always
Find
he'd
something.
always do better than I would,
Yeah.
as far as
He's gonna tag out.
getting something. But it was an adventure with him. So
Yeah.
we had him
That's
for about, I think, 7 years, and eventually got hit by a car.
okay.
But not before the neighbor shot him a couple times
Oh gosh.
for killing chickens,
Oh
which
jeez.
my dad instructed him to do so, because my
Oh
dad was
gosh.
kind of a real hard ass kind of guy, and he goes, that damn dog is useless to me if he's going to
Yeah.
be doing that. So I came home from football practice one day, and And I think I was a sophomore maybe. And normally the dog was all over me after
Yeah.
practice, and that day he just sat there and looked at me and wouldn't move. And I go inside to my dad's on his chair with his paper in front of his face. And, I said, Dad, what's wrong with the dog? And he lowers the paper and he goes, oh, Bob shot him today. And he goes back to reading, I'm
Oh
like,
my gosh.
I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Bob shot him.
Want to tell
Bob
me
shot
more?
him. So don't you think we should do something? He's like, oh, that damn dog, he'll be fine.
Oh my gosh.
So we happen to know the local vet was a neighbor of ours, kind of,
gosh.
I don't know, in the next neighborhood. And he ended up opening the shop for us at 9 or 10 o'clock at night
Oh my gosh.
on like a Wednesday night,
Yeah.
So we take this dog up there, and he's not bleeding or anything. He's just kind of limp, and he really can't walk very well.
Oh, jeez.
And so he took some x-rays and looked him over and said none of the pellets broke the hide. So
Oh gosh.
he'll be fine. Take
He's
some
good to go.
antibiotics. And 3 days later, it was like nothing happened. All the pellets just kind of fell out of his skin. And
Oh my gosh.
and from that day on, he was not a fan of the neighbor.
Yeah.
But it didn't really teach him, though. It took two rounds of that. But a year later, it happened again. So
Oh my gosh.
he was kind of like the neighborhood menace.
Yeah. Yeah. We might need a spin-off episode of of this dog.
I've got 30 stories like that.
Yeah.
So let me know.
Good.
He lived an active life, that dog did.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So Dave, fast forward a little bit, when did the upland hunting really kind of, become a passion of yours, and what kind of turned the corner for you, picking up your own dogs and all that?
I would say really it turned a corner probably more so like 10 years ago, 12 years ago when I got my Vizsla. I hunted through high school. We always went on a trip, went to college, had to kind of abbreviate those trips, how that goes.
Sure.
We go from a week down to maybe a 3-day weekend. I'd shoot up there.
Yeah.
And we hunted without dogs for years, just walking 2 tracks. And my brother and I, my uncle, that's how it was done. It was partridge hunting. I never even heard the word grouse until I was probably 20 years old, and I didn't know what the hell that meant, So my grandfather called them grouse or partridge and all that. So, but it was probably about 12 years ago I picked up. My wife is a big dog lover, and I'm frankly not really a dog person. I am now, but let's say, reverse 20 years ago. Really wasn't, at the time, wasn't interested in tearing up the yard and putting up fences and all that stuff. And she was bugging me about a dog. And I said, if we're going to get a dog, it's got to be a hunting dog, and specifically a pointing dog. So I had a friend
dual purpose. I like it. Dual purpose.
Right. So I had a friend that I knew of a Vizsla breed, which wasn't, a super common dog even back then, 15 years ago. But I knew of that breed, and there happened to be a breeder in the Rockford area that's pretty well known nationally. And we just paid him a visit one day and walked over there, and he had a couple litters on the ground, and somehow my name got put up to the top because I was local. He's shipping these dogs all over the country.
Sure.
A lot of Vizsla buyers don't hunt their dogs.
Yeah.
So that was the first question he asked me. I said, of course I'm going to hunt this dog. And somebody's name got scratched off and mine got replaced.
And Dave goes to the top.
So here we were, and I said, okay, I guess we're in on it now. We took that dog home, and we had him. He passed away last year. We had to put him down, but but he's kind of where really my interest peaked more with just kind of going to that next level, right?
Sure.
I mean, you're hunting by yourself and your family and your brothers, and it's fun. But when you have a dog,
when you throw one of those into the equation, it changes the dynamic for you as the hunter and how you hunt even.
Right. Your study habits change too.
Sure.
You pay attention to covers more. You're just into it more.
Right.
And podcasts like this help a great deal. I mean, all the podcasts are out there.
Sure.
That stuff wasn't around 10 years ago.
Yeah. The resources, YouTube, podcast, I mean, all the things that people didn't have even 15 to 10 years ago, something like that. Right.
It's amazing where it's come.
It's helped us, people like me, to learn and grow and understand how to work dogs, how to hunt, all that kind of stuff. That's crazy. Did you, with that dog, did you try to figure out any training on your own? Did you just,
Yeah, it
how'd you navigate that?
I bought the like the Bob West series on DVD,
Okay.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
he
Back
had a
when everyone had a
series on.
DVD player, right?
Right, yeah, he had a series on short hairs. I think he's more of a waterfowl guy now, maybe more retriever, but
Okay.
back then he had a series on short hairs. I watched that video over and over again.
Mm,
I had no idea what I was doing,
mm,
and
sure.
a lot of
None
the
of us,
guys
none
that,
of us do when we start. We're like,
yeah,
we go into it like we think we
exactly,
do, but then yeah.
you have no clue. So you look for advice from the breeder.
Sure.
Some of the guys at the club, the place I got him from, he also ran a put and take on
Okay.
site. So you could get like if you bought a dog from him, you get the first year membership for
Oh,
included.
sure.
So I'd ask all the old timers advice and this or that. And, a lot of those guys are pretty wealthy. So they just bought their way out of every problem they had. So
Sure.
I was
Sure.
a do-it-yourselfer, so I
Yep.
really didn't find a lot of help there. So you kind of
Sure.
turn to the internet and
Yep.
the few things that are on YouTube, especially back then, there really wasn't much of anything,
Right.
and you just kind of hack your way through it. I mean, honestly, I'm still
Yeah.
hacking my way through it, but
Yep.
you know, there's just a lot more information to use today, and
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and that dog's going to teach you more. So the first
Yeah.
dog's probably a mess. Your next dogs are going to be much
Yeah.
better.
Yeah. The first ones, I always apologize to Gage constantly. I'm just like, I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
man. You're my test mule.
Exactly. Yep. Yep.
Well, tell me about your current dog. You just have one right now, or
Yeah,
two?
I have the one. We had the two for a while,
Okay.
overlap. I went back to a short hair. Um, Convinced my wife, despite all the stories I told her about my childhood short hair being
Yeah,
a menace, she kind of was pretty nervous. So
I'd be too.
recently, actually he got really sick. About 3 years before I passed, and
Mm,
we thought he was gonna, he wasn't gonna make it. We had him to
yeah,
every single vet in the area, and nobody had an answer. So we started looking. It takes a couple of years to get a dog on the ground,
sure.
and we happened to visit a GSP breeder up in central Wisconsin, and
Okay.
he had one dog left out of the litter, and
Mm,
I just went to meet him in his operation in maybe a
sure.
future litter, and you get
You.
to know a breeder, and you think,
Yeah.
okay, this guy's serious. It's not,
Yep.
this is his business. And a week later, we picked up that dog. So
Okay. Yeah. You walked out with that dog.
yeah, so that's the dog I have now, Sawyer,
That's
short
fun.
hair. He's a wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful dog.
How old is Sawyer now?
He is 4, so
Okay.
he's just in his prime. So I'm really
Prime.
looking
Yeah.
forward to the next 3-4 years. It's going to be really good.
Absolutely.
He's about everything I could ask for. So there's a
That's
few
great.
deficiencies, but those are mostly,
Yeah.
all my fault. So
Yeah, right. Right. Totally. I was gonna say you kind of DIY it with him as well, and kind of
yeah,
learn.
yep, yep, yep. So definitely learned something
Sure.
from the first go around, and pay attention to more details. But honestly, and this is cliche, and everyone's said it 100 times, but learn to keep your mouth shut. That's the most important thing, and
Mm,
and focus on that basic obedience is
sure.
is in my opinion, it's 90% of the game with dog training
Hmm.
is kennel training, heel, come with
Mm,
me. Um,
sure.
those basic things just
Yeah.
translate. And I didn't understand that the first go around.
Sure.
You're interested in just putting a bird underneath the dog's nose because you have this timeline on your mind that you have to be doing this or that at certain weeks. And, because you're reading these books and they kind of give you a general
Yep.
timeline of maybe when you should have your dog on bird. So it was like this
Yeah.
constant nerve that, oh, I missed it by 2 weeks, or,
Yeah. 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 You
none of
take
that.
it so literal sometimes and go,
Yeah.
oh,
And
I ruined him because he wasn't on. He
right.
wasn't pointing by 4 months or whatever.
Yeah. And none of it matters. I mean,
Yeah.
you got plenty of time, and focus on that obedience.
Yeah.
House manners are a big thing because,
Sure.
with us, it's 99% of that dog's life is part of the
Yeah.
family. So, and this dog stays inside, and which is unlike my childhood dog. He was a kennel dog outside,
Sure.
and so times have changed quite a bit. And
Yeah.
uh, I know for
That's
you,
what
you have too many, so you have to keep some
yeah.
outside.
Yeah. We get too many kids, so we have to keep the
Yeah.
dogs outside. Yeah. That's what you mean.
Right.
Our
Right.
house is too small
Yeah.
for dogs inside. Once in a while, I'll let Gage or Win inside.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they kind of know it's funny because they're not in often enough, but when they are, they kind of know it's special, and so they're like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm gonna be on my best behavior.
Really, that's
Like
funny.
we're just gonna
That's
curl on
funny.
the couch, make sure mom doesn't see us, and
Yeah.
play it cool.
Yeah. My short
But
hair as a kid was kind of like that because he never got
yeah,
to come inside. My mom was
sure,
not a dog person at all. Like she
yeah,
just resented that dog, and it would be so cold outside, and we had like a heated doghouse for him in the garage,
okay,
but it still got cold.
sure,
And every now and then you'd open that door up, and we always had a fireplace going, and
yeah.
he ran like he knew where it was. He'd never
He
been
knew,
in the
yeah,
house. He
yeah.
runs straight for the fireplace, and he just sits down. He's like, I'm not moving.
Yeah, he's like, I'm good. I won't make a
Right.
peep.
Right. Like,
That's
sorry
too
buddy, you gotta
funny.
go.
Yep, that's too funny. It's funny. My wife actually recently, she's not a dog person. I've
Yeah.
spoke on that before. She's not a dog person, and but recently she's all about these Bernese Mountain Dogs.
Really.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
she's like kind of serious. She's like, oh, I think in a few years I want one, and I'm like,
Yeah.
who are you? I'm like, one that you're even talking about. You want a dog,
Yeah. That's
and I
crazy.
started looking. I'm like, they're massive. I mean, they're
They're bigger
like
than you,
on the
aren't they?
small side. Yeah, I'm like small side, 70 plus pounds, and
Wow.
so yeah, I don't know if she's serious. We'll see if she. I don't know.
Yeah,
See
my
if she
wife likes
keeps on
big
that train.
dogs.
Does she?
She's a Rottweiler fan. Had a
Oh, okay.
Rottweiler for years, and
Oh, okay. Cool.
we do have another dog. We have a golden doodle also,
Oh, nice.
and he's a retired service dog.
Oh, cool.
So we had three at one time, and that kind of got to be a problem.
Sure,
Two
that's a
dogs
lot.
is easy.
Yeah,
Three seems like it's five times as many as two.
I would agree. I would agree.
Like your kids, right?
Yeah, it's like after that certain
Yeah.
amount, it's just like okay. Well,
Yeah,
I don't know.
They create that pack mentality.
Yeah.
Maybe at three.
They do. They
I
do.
guess.
100% agree.
So,
Oh,
I've been working on her to get another bird dog, but man,
yeah,
it's an uphill battle. So
yeah. Because how's that work with? I mean, one dog, and you did a couple big trips last year, right? How'd that work
yeah,
with dog power? Do you meet up with some buddies who have
it was
dogs? Or?
okay. I mean, we were really our Montana trip. We knew we had two dogs. My buddy that I went with, he's got a lab.
Okay.
He's also got a setter at home, but she's really he kind of inherited her. She doesn't have much experience, so we didn't want to
Okay.
put her out there in that situation.
Sure.
So he's got a lab, and on the prairie, the lab, doesn't have a huge amount of value except for retrieve.
Sure.
He did come in handy for a lot of those thickets. We drop a bird in a thicket,
Okay.
and that lab just lives for that. My short hair is not a great retriever.
Mhm.
He loves to retrieve, but when we're hunting, his mind's on the next bird. It seems like.
Sure.
So we honestly we're working behind Sawyer, him and I, and he's
Yeah.
covering both of us. So we had to be mindful of not burning him up.
Sure.
And the year before in North Dakota, it was the same way, and that was the drought year. And
Oh, okay.
so it was hot that year. It was hot. It was hot last year too. But if we pay attention to him, the dog was in good shape. I conditioned him
Sure.
pretty well, so he was able to hold up, and he did a lot.
That's good.
He did a lot better than I expected, and fortunately, there was plenty of birds where we didn't have to walk 10 miles
and endless amount of miles.
and fill. Yeah, the bad part was, our main focus is sharptail, and then Huns are kind of like incidental.
Sure.
And the plan was, well, let's try to get our limit on Sharpies maybe by noon, and then we can hunt Huns in the evening before
That's
dusk.
a solid plan. It's a solid plan.
But without dog power, you kind of change your plan. So by the end of the day, he's wiped out, and we got our Sharpies for the day. So we kind of we still treated Huns as incidental if we come across them.
Sure.
Of course, we're gonna hunt them, but to really focus on them, you got to have more dogs. I mean, that everybody knows that.
To go all day for multiple days. Yeah. You gotta.
But honestly, it's not nearly as bad as I thought. I mean, we were
awesome.
quite satisfied, I think.
Oh, that's
overall. So
perfect.
you don't,
Yeah.
you don't need a whole trailer full of dogs. I tell
Sure.
people,
Yeah. Yeah.
it is more
You don't need
fun,
12, but
right, right.
one can do
Two,
it.
yeah,
Two's nice.
one for the morning, one for the afternoon would be nice,
Yeah,
But
exactly. And like you said too, as long as you are, dog's conditioned, they're healthy, they're ready to roll. I
right,
think
yeah,
that's going to help extend that time you can be out there with them, because
absolutely, yeah,
that's going to be huge.
yeah.
That's awesome. So what other highlights from last year? Did you just a Montana trip? What else did you focus on?
Pretty much grouse. I mean, I hunt a lot of days. We have a place in northern Wisconsin,
Okay.
so I spent a lot of time up there.
Okay.
We we probably were in the woods more days last year than I have been in many years.
Nice.
I had a lot of time off work for whatever reason. I
Okay.
rolled some vacation, and
Yeah.
November were pretty free on the
That's
calendar.
awesome.
So I was up there a lot. So we hunted more. I killed more woodcock last year than I ever have, I think.
That's awesome.
We hunted a lot of days. Grouse hunting
And,
was good, and
and
woodcock was good.
the woodcock flight goes through
Yeah,
Wisconsin. Okay.
there's a good local bird population there
Okay.
too. But the flights do when the flights come through is when the action really heats up. You'll
Nice.
go from maybe 6 or 8 woodcock a day. I'll call them local birds.
Sure.
Likely to you'll have 40, 50 flushes in a
Oh
day
wow.
on some good days with woodcock.
Wow.
So and there's a few week period where that's going on. So
Sure.
it's
You
all
got a
weather
little time
dependent.
to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. If it's a dry year, they kind of fly over. Like a few
Okay.
years ago, it was really dry up there.
And they just keep
Uh,
going.
yeah, I think they just headed right over that whole area, and we
Okay.
didn't find many. But last year was a good year.
Okay.
Grouse have
And then
been consistent.
yeah, and then do you have woodcock, and then do you have rough grouse in Wisconsin?
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
that's my primary target
Okay.
is roughies, and
Okay.
I used to treat woodcock as sort of incidental too.
Okay.
But now I honestly I'll probably take half my trip and just kind of focus on woodcock
Oh,
cover
really?
more. I
Okay.
mean, the cover overlaps very, very
I was gonna say it's
close.
probably pretty similar, right?
It is. It is. You're pretty much hunting the same areas. And now you start getting down into the edges of swamps and stuff. You'll find both, but you're going to find more woodcock perhaps. Um, it also depends on the age of aspen cuts.
Oh, that's
Um,
right.
if you pay attention to the way the woods work and logging cycles and ages, it's a little bit different age for woodcock than it is for grouse. The
Because
woodcock
you want the
prefer
older age, or no, you want the younger, right?
younger for
Yeah.
woodcock typically.
Okay.
So I can, if once it gets to 5 to that 7, 8 year,
Mhm.
they're smaller, more stem density. You'll
Okay.
find more woodcock. At that 8 year and up, it's going to start transitioning to both birds and
Okay.
then more grouse kind of thing. So you can
Gotcha.
kind of, with the tools we have today,
Mm.
Onyx, etc.
Sure.
It's easy to find the
Yeah.
appropriate age, but
Have you gone down that rabbit hole of getting super nerdy on the timber
yes,
cuts and
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I'm a software guy, so that kind of stuff I do every day. So I just it flows right into that.
Yeah, it's natural for
But
you.
it's kind of like everybody's got a plan until they get hit in the mouth, right? They all the
Right.
Mike Tyson thing. So
Yep.
you're in the woods, and okay, now you're in the woods, and you had this plan in your head, and maybe you drop some pins in some areas, but now you're using your eyeballs and your
Sure.
intuition, and that kind of takes over. Onyx
Yep.
is still a great tool, obviously, and it'll
Yeah.
get you in the area, but until your eyeballs are on it, you're not,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean a whole lot, but
Totally. You're like,
it
oh,
does
this
save a
is
ton
what
of time.
100%. But you're
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah.
this is what this looks like, feels like. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Gives you a more 4D experience. I don't know if you call it that, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. That's
a
a good term. Yeah. I like
little
that.
more.
Yeah.
I was just talking with I did a episode this morning with Ben Bredigan from Onyx. We were talking
Oh,
about
nice.
the
Yeah.
3D
Yeah.
features and
Sure.
that with Onyx. So
Sure.
felt like an appropriate reference.
I'm a big fan of Ben and his product. So
Yeah, yeah. No, they do a good job for sure.
they
For
do. Yeah.
sure.
It's totally
What,
changed the whole landscape.
oh yeah, for sure. What are you looking forward to this season here? We're about, I mean, from when we're talking, we're about a month out, maybe a little bit more for
Yeah.
some. But what do you what's on the horizon, and what are you thinking for this fall?
more of the same. We'll be in eastern Montana again, most likely,
Nice.
probably mid September. I'm gonna say I don't have the plans nailed down yet.
Sure.
Um, depends on my buddy Tom. He travels a lot for work, so we
Okay.
kind of work within his schedule. Um, and then, of course, I'll spend most of October and November in the grouse woods.
Sure.
I really like to make a trip to like western Kansas for Bob White this year.
Okay.
Hopefully, it works out. It's on the it's in the plan books,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
whether or not
You,
weather
you put it.
dependent because
Yeah.
it's moving towards December probably.
Yep.
It can be pretty nice there in December, but it can also
Yeah.
be pretty miserable too. So
It can. It
yeah,
can.
it's the same weather you have basically. I'm
Yeah,
guessing
pretty much. Pretty
similar.
much.
Yeah,
Just either hotter or more. Yeah.
yeah,
It's so weird how it fluctuates. Just
yeah.
it can be worse. It can be better. I mean, who the heck knows?
It looks like they
But
got some rain out there this year, so maybe the
yeah, I mean, a lot of places have gotten rain. I'm super optimistic on some of our surrounding area. I mean,
yeah, your
Colorado's
area is crazy.
greener. It's greener than it's ever been.
It's like the Midwest.
Yeah, it kind
Yeah,
of feels like it.
yeah,
My wife and I joke. It actually kind of feels like we live in Florida this past spring
yeah,
because we
yeah,
get this afternoon, thunderstorm that rolls through, dumps a bunch of rain, and then moves on. It's beautiful the rest of the day.
yeah, yeah. We have some
Um,
friends that are up in Fort Collins and
oh yeah,
outside Denver, and so
yep.
we keep in touch with them. But yeah, the weather's been
It's
totally different by you
it's been
guys.
crazy. I've heard Nebraska's got good moisture, and
Really,
so that's got me optimistic for grouse numbers there and prairie
Sand Hill.
chickens and yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we'll
You
see
make a
what
trip
that.
there every year, don't you?
I do, yeah, I
Or
do, and we'll see if yeah, we'll see if I do a big trip there this year or that or
yeah,
whatnot.
yeah.
Again, I think my focus is trying to get up north a little bit, but we'll see
Right.
if I
Yeah.
can make it happen. There's
Yeah.
some
It's
there's
hard
some
to
closer
beat.
spots too that. I mean, again, Sand Hill region is so large.
Yeah.
The spot I
Yeah.
usually go is about 6-7 hours. So
Okay.
I think I can get a little bit closer, maybe 3 or 4 hours, and still get
Okay.
into
Yeah, that'd be
some prairie
cool.
chickens and sharp tails. So
Right.
we'll see. But maybe we'll have to meet Nebraska at some point. It's not
Yeah, I would love
not
to hit
not terrible
Nebraska.
drive
Never been
from
there.
Rockford.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah,
Really, even the
time.
Montana trip, I didn't think was, it's about 1,000 miles roughly from where I'm
Okay.
at. It's really not bad.
Yeah.
Because it's once you get through Twin Cities, it's
Yeah,
smooth
you
sailing.
smooth sailing. Yeah, I forget
Yeah.
how many miles it was for me last year, or 2 years ago, I went up to Montana, but I think it
Yeah.
was only like 13-hour drive, 14, something like that. So it
Okay.
wasn't
Yeah,
terrible. Was it?
it's about what we did, something
Okay,
like that.
that's not
Yeah.
bad. Yeah, the Wyoming part it sucked pretty bad. It was
I bet.
windy and it
Yeah.
was. I mean, and I've heard people say that, and once I experienced it, I'm like, oh yeah, it's a hike and
Yeah.
it's just wide
Yeah.
open, wide
We
open.
drove through Wyoming a few years ago. We stayed in Denver and drove
Okay.
to Yellowstone, and the whole time I'm looking at sagebrush and
Yeah, yeah,
just like it was a family trip, but I'm
sure.
just
Oh yeah,
daydreaming, staring off in the
drop
you know
pin, drop pin.
exactly. I'm looking at mile markers on the
Yeah.
highway, going, "This looks good here,"
Yeah.
And then I
It's a
got home and tried to
sickness.
figure out where we were because yeah,
It's a sickness, man. You can't go anywhere without going, oh, I wonder if
yeah,
that holds birds, or I wonder if
right. Well, then we hit a chucker with the car,
no
and
way.
like right outside of Cody, where it kind of gets really rugged.
Okay.
We're coming over this hill, and I go, man, this looks like good chucker country.
No
And
way.
I'm telling you, within 10 seconds of me saying that to my wife, one hits the windshield.
No way.
Boom, flies up. I see it in my rearview mirror. It hits the ground.
That's awesome. Go
Yeah,
pick that thing up.
right. And I didn't even drop a pin because I don't know
Oh,
anything about chucker hunting. I'm like
yeah, yeah.
zero. So, but I'm just looking at what I've seen basically of the Western guys. I'm like, wow, this
Yeah.
looks like chucker country, and
And sure enough, here comes the
we killed
chucker.
one.
The
Yep. Yeah.
chucker.
It's the
Oh,
first. That's the first wild chucker I've ever seen. I mean, we use them for training here,
yeah,
but
yeah. And
uh, you
maybe
know,
your first and only. You never know.
with that kind of luck, too,
I
maybe.
know, right?
I don't know.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'd love to get that for chucker. I have not chased wild chucker yet, and that's definitely
Oh man,
on
it
my
looks
list. And
looks tough.
it does look it looks tough, and I just part of me I love chasing just new birds. I love trying
Oh yeah.
something new. I chased scalies last year.
Yeah,
Unsuccessful with them, but
yeah,
it was fun. It was new terrain, new territory.
right.
It can be frustrating too, to figuring out a new land and all
Yeah,
that. But
yeah. Did you
it's
you didn't
also
go to Arizona, did you?
no, I was here in Colorado.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know they
Yeah,
got some pretty decent scalies in Colorado. Do
yeah.
you think with the wetness this year, the weather, it'll be
I
better?
hope so. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I hope so. I haven't looked specifically down in that kind of area.
yeah,
I'm sure they've gotten some good moisture, but yeah. So maybe I'll jump down there again. Again, it wasn't super far of a drive. So
right.
again, that's with kids and life and work, and as you know, it's
Yeah,
just you got to plan
I
accordingly. And I don't know, it changes your mindset a little bit of, again, 2, 3, 4 years ago, even I was like, all right, how many big trips can I do? And
yeah,
now I'm like, how
yeah.
many, like, can I do a couple small trips or,
I gotta hand
day
it to you,
trips?
Will. And I got full respect for you, man. I mean, you got a house full of kids, and I mean,
Yep.
even having time to do this, what you're doing now, is amazing to me. But
It's fun. It's fun.
yeah,
Busy and
yeah,
crazy and all that, but
yeah,
it's something I enjoy. And again, I get as much out of these conversations, talking to you, learning, catching up.
yeah, yeah.
It's fun. It's a fun thing to do. So
Yeah, I've enjoyed watching and listening to your show for the last few years.
yeah,
It's been
appreciate
fun.
it. Thank
Yeah.
you very much. Thank you. Well, it's been fun. Can't wait for season to come up. But what have you been working on this summer? Any kind of summer goals with the dog, or how you guys been just conditioning, or
Mostly, I focus on he's for me. He's at a point where I like him. Steady to wing would be a nicety. My only fear there is losing it. Once I get it,
sure
is
you want that dog on it?
right, and keeping up with that. So the biggest thing with grouse hunting is steady to wing. So if he's steady in the woods and he's very steady,
Mm,
I'm pretty happy with him.
yeah,
To get to that next level, yeah, it would be nice, but
sure.
like I say, yeah, it'd be a big disappointment when I lost it. Had to
Oh, for sure.
re-earn it, regain that again.
Yeah, well, and that's tough. Yeah, it's a good point you make, because if you're mostly hunting that thick wood grouse. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
some tough stuff, man. I've hunted mountain grouse here, and it's thick. There's definitely thick areas,
yeah.
but there's some open areas as well. But I was even watching some of your videos earlier, and some of the stuff you're walking through. That's thick, and if a bird goes
It's yeah,
down,
yeah, yeah.
I
You
mean, yeah,
gotta have, you gotta be on it. They don't. I always say with grouse is they're easy to kill but hard to hit.
sure,
Because it really only takes one pellet to bring one down. So it's not like a rooster. We hunt
sure,
pheasant in southern Wisconsin, and they could take a hit pretty good.
yeah,
But a grouse, if you put a pellet on him, you're probably going to knock him out of the ground.
yeah,
Now he may hit the ground and run, but typically it's not that common.
okay,
So and it's not a covey bird. So
right.
to have a dog steady to
So it's a lot of singles. Just
right,
okay,
exactly. So to have a finished dog, quote unquote, it's not a huge advantage to me in the grouse woods
sure,
because they're not a covey bird. Now, if I
yep,
was hunting, if I was a bobwhite hunter, something like that, I'd
hmm,
probably want a finished dog because you're going to get multiple flushes. And
sure,
even out west with sharp tails, he was good enough to get multiple shots at a covey of birds.
yeah,
But with grouse and woodcock, it's typically singles.
okay,
So if you empty two barrels, and sometimes with woodcock you'll get a couple opportunities,
sure,
and that happens. But by the time mid October hits, the grouse have kind of broken up at that
yeah,
point for the
okay,
most part. Early season, you can get some groupings. 4, 5, 6 birds
okay.
are still grouped together, but once the leaves start changing, they pretty much change their habits, and
Oh wow.
and they're broken up by then.
Okay.
So
Okay. Was it when you went out to Montana? Have you been doing that a couple years now? And
yeah, yeah.
was it a transition for your dog? Did he figure the sharptails out pretty quick? I mean, again, new
He
species, new
did. It was
bird.
really surprising to me. It's not that different from the pheasant cover. It's a lot easier cover. Our
Hmm.
first trip was to North Dakota, and that was during the drought year, and that was a tough trip. So we did shoot some birds. The goal was just to kill some sharptail for the first time. We didn't know anything about it. I'm just listening to your podcast and others to try to figure out clues, and
Sure.
And it was tough in North Dakota because of there's just not a lot of access.
Sure.
Unless you know private landowners. To me, we struggled to find places to go because that was the first year they had the electronic posting.
Okay.
And so, of course, I had that layer on Onyx, and there was a lot of people enrolled in that. So you'd roll up to a spot and it's not posted, and you'd cheer a little bit, and then you open up Onyx and it says posted. So, man, we would have to drive 40, 50 miles between plots to find a spot to go. And so then last year we went to Montana, and to me, that was just 100 times better because of the access. The block management program is just terrific.
They do a phenomenal job.
There's more state land. The BLM land we didn't really hunt much of, but state and block management was like 80-90% of what we did, and it was just terrific.
Yeah.
All the property was so well cared for, and
every piece of land I think we went to on the trip a couple years ago. I don't think we had a property that we didn't have birds on.
I agree.
Come into a couple coveys of sharptail huns, whatever it might be. Even again, we were early season, but we saw tons of pheasant and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I think they do a good job of managing their land and wildlife. So
it was a great experience. People are friendly. Awesome. It's not as easy to find a place to stay in Montana as there is,
It's a little more, spread out. Yeah.
There's just less people in general. So, it's not a lot of choices.
Wild West.
Wild West. So unless you're camping, you're kind of staying where you can find a place to rent. That's kind of where you're going to hunt too.
Yeah. You have a kind of unique truck setup. And I say unique because I think you have an SUV, right? And so you run like a little drawer system out of your SUV, right? And
I have an old beater that I keep this old SUV out of spite.
Okay.
For you $90,000 rig guys, I'm going to keep it as long as possible.
Why not?
But it used to be our old family car, actually.
Okay.
When we had our kids were small, and then we kind of grew out of it. I said, well, I'll just stick it over here in the garage. And then I got the dog, and I'm like, well, I'm going to put him in that. And I had a truck some years ago that I sold, and and so I kind of stick with this thing now. And I honestly like the SUV setup. If I had 2-3 dogs, it wouldn't work. But for 1 or 2 dogs, it's a pretty good setup because I can cool them, I can heat them.
And that's what people are always trying to, in pickups, you're always trying to figure out, how do I cool them? How do I heat them?
Right.
And then all the gear and things that go with to do that.
I don't have to really worry about that.
Right. You're like, just turn the AC on or turn the heat on.
Right. Well, actually the AC doesn't work anymore, but
they make fans.
That's it. I'm mostly in the fall and winter. As long as the heat works, I'm good.
That's funny.
But then I built my own drawer system because it doesn't have to be waterproof either, right? I don't need a decked system to be waterproof. So I built a whole system and set it up exactly the way I wanted. Kind of like a lot of clues came from like the Overland community.
Oh, sure.
And I just kind of put the Upland spin on it and made a place for the guns and
boxes of shells.
Built a kennel. I couldn't put a plastic kennel in there, so I just built my own kennel, and we kind of go that way. So
that's awesome.
Spot for the shells, spot for the collars, everything. Awesome. Camp stove, all that.
You're ready to roll.
Good. Yeah, and I can bust it through the woods, and I don't care about what happens to it.
Right, exactly. You're not worried like I am right now. I'm worried about where I park it right now.
Right. When I had a new truck, I pinstriped that thing the first year I owned it up in the grouse woods, and it was a black truck, and it was just, man, it made me sick. And now I couldn't care less. In fact, I enjoy pinstriping.
It adds to it now at a certain point. That's like my older truck. It was a dark gray color, and so many of those roads, especially mountain grouse hunting the last couple of years. There's tight roads, switchbacks, and the overgrown trees and everything. And every time I just hear the sound go along the side, and
I know that sound.
I know.
I probably have about a gallon of paint in the woods off of that. That old truck,
I'm sure. That's awesome. So, Well, Dave, the other thing that you've been running on your side is so under 40 yards. You've been doing some YouTube stuff, and I mean
Yeah,
your Instagram page is awesome. You post some really nice photos, videos.
thank you.
What made you start wanting to video some hunts and throw that up on YouTube and stuff?
All right, good question. It started with that visa.
Okay,
So mostly to kind of share with my buddies, because I
yeah,
was new to the pointing dog world, even though I had one when I was a kid. I won't really consider that my first dog. He
sure,
was really my first dog. And I just kind of wanted to record his progress because I didn't know what I was doing. Um, I had a little put and take that was part of the package that I bought with the dog. So I thought, wow, I'll just record a few things. And when I started, I was using my phone. So I just hold up my phone and I'd shoot one handed.
Oh gosh.
And I mean, these are preserved pheasants, so
Sure,
not a
sure. You
not a
can
huge
do that. Yeah.
challenge.
Yeah.
But I got pretty good at one handed shooting.
I've heard about people like you. I've
Right,
heard about
right,
people.
right.
Ugh.
So I started I'd send these videos to my buddies, and you can't really obviously can't text a video to any quality. So
Sure.
I just open up a YouTube account, or maybe I already had one, and it's way easier to upload to that and just kind of share
Sure.
something privately.
Yeah.
And it just kind of started snowballing. My buddy came and he brought his dog, and then back in those days, this is like 2013 when I was starting to do this YouTube thing. There really wasn't anybody on YouTube doing it
Sure.
except for one guy that I saw him do this grouse video. Um, yeah, it's the Consummate Sportsman on YouTube.
Okay.
He has the greatest grouse video of all time. And when I saw that, I thought, man, I could do that.
Yeah.
I think I can do
Was
this
it?
because this
And
is
was
what
this?
I do.
Was this before like GoPro's time, or was this
It
when it
was
was already
GoPro, but
there?
real early GoPro,
Okay.
shaky days.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I was too cheap to buy a GoPro, so I bought some knockoff thing,
Okay.
imitation thing, total piece of junk. Failed every time I used it. Finally bought the GoPro, and then it was a GoPro 3. And
Oh
then
wow.
I came up with the name. I thought, well,
Yeah.
I need to somehow brand this thing.
Yeah.
And I've been a shotgun guy my whole life. I used to shoot trap,
Sure.
and so you're always working under 40 yards. And I
Yeah.
just thought it sounded cool. So I
Yeah.
put that out there, and then, debated on changing it over the years because
Sure.
nobody knew what the hell I was like. What?
Yeah.
I
What?
mean, anybody that doesn't hunt or
No. No.
it
Our,
has
our
no.
community gets it, but yeah, anyone outside
Yeah,
is like,
right,
what the
right.
heck?
But I thought it had to have like outdoors in it for anyone to
Oh
know what it
sure.
meant.
Well, yeah, that was the classic like 2000s, and
Yeah,
a little bit
everybody had
later.
something
Yeah.
outdoors,
Outdoors. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't do that. Everybody
Yeah.
does that. So
Yep.
it took a while to get some traction going, but then it
Yeah.
just it got more fun, and then I
Sure.
started getting interested in cameras, and I've always been a computer guy, so it was kind of a natural workflow for me.
Yeah.
And I'm a software engineer, so I bought editing software and just taught myself, and then
That's
kind of
awesome.
progressed into some bigger cameras and better stuff. And now the
Yeah.
stuff is so much better than it
Oh
was
gosh.
even
Night
5 years
and day.
ago.
Night and
It's
day.
not even close.
Yeah. So you've been
So
doing this a lot longer than I thought you have with the
yeah,
video side
10
of things.
years.
And
Yeah.
wow. Okay.
UFY is about a 10-year-old channel.
That's
It
incredible.
was, what was it before that? I had some videos before I kind of rebranded. Maybe it's just my name probably,
Okay.
until I kind of thought, well, maybe this will go somewhere. I guess started getting
Yeah.
some views, because
Sure.
no one was really doing it. And I
Yeah.
thought, well,
So
maybe
when you're
there's
kind of
something
first of
here.
a kind, yeah.
And honestly, my kids were small, and I thought, the only way to interest kids is through video, a lot of
Sure.
ways. So I thought maybe that would be a good impact on,
Yeah.
sharing the whole experience with them and other kids.
Totally.
So I like to think that has happened. I don't know, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it's fun for me. So
That's cool, man. Well, yeah. And two, the say the younger generation of people, maybe not kids, or maybe kids too. I mean,
yeah,
as the people turn to YouTube, turn to things like that to learn about something,
right.
maybe videos like these can help open someone's eyes to, oh wow, that's what it looks like
Yeah.
to hunt behind a pointing dog, or
Well, I mean,
that's what it
what's the
looks like
first
to
thing
go walk.
you turn to when your washing machine breaks down? open up YouTube
Yeah.
every
It's
time.
just it's default now.
It's
It's
like,
like before you even, because years ago you think about, okay, you got first, your first thought is find a repair person. Now it's like,
yeah,
go to
yeah,
YouTube so I can see if I can save myself some money.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
It's funny because
crazy.
I look back at the old videos and they're so terrible. Like by my standards today,
Sure.
they're so bad. But if I look at the metrics, I
Uh-huh.
was just looking at this last week.
Yeah.
Some of those old ones are still have more views
Oh wow.
than my new. It's crazy. I don't understand it. I'm
Wow.
like, these are so terrible.
Yeah, but people
They
are watching
still.
them.
I don't know why.
That's
It's
so
weird.
crazy. That's
For
so
them to
crazy.
even show up in people's feed is like strange to
Right.
me. Like, why would they
Right.
have a 6-year-old video in someone's feed? Like, I don't know.
Right. That's wild.
But
What is what's some of the equipment you're using now? Are you using primarily GoPro for your
for the
videos? Or
point of view, I use GoPro.
okay.
Head mount is my preferred
Okay. Do you do any
vantage point.
barrel mount stuff too, or no?
I don't. I tried that. I did have a clamp for a few years. Ends up moving around so much,
Oh,
and it seemed kind of gimmicky to me. And
sure.
I tried to chest mount for a while,
Okay.
which I thought would be interesting, but you put your gun up and the camera points that way and you're pointed this way and you don't see
Oh yeah,
anything.
yeah. Because
Or
your chest kind of turns.
yeah,
Yep.
right. And so that didn't really work out. So I went back to head mount, still the best.
Yeah.
So for the point of view stuff, I use that. And then for like my B-roll, I have a couple mirrorless cameras,
Okay.
interchangeable lens cameras. I
Yeah.
use those for photography also.
Okay.
The
Very
same
nice.
gear. So
Yeah.
if you get a good hybrid camera now,
They can do both, and
they can do both very, very well,
that's
which
awesome.
wasn't the case back in.
Yeah, you have a
There
dedicated.
was some, I like Lumix Panasonic cameras, so they did have a camera back then that would have
Okay.
done the same, but I was way too cheap to put any money into that
Sure.
back then. I'm like, it was hard enough getting that GoPro first
Right.
time,
Right.
it's like
Totally.
how much money? $300 I got
Yeah.
to spend on
Yeah.
this thing? I'm like, no way. So
Oh, that's too funny.
yeah,
With the GoPro stuff now, is it again? I don't have a GoPro. I had one or two GoPros a long time ago for some mountain biking stuff I used to
yeah,
do. Are they now where you can voice activate them now? So you
you
don't? Are you having
can.
to fumble with buttons still, or how does that work?
I still use a button. I use the biggest feature. The feature to me that totally changed GoPro. Well, there's two of them really. The stabilization that came in play about.
Mm,
I think GoPro 5 introduced that, so we're on GoPro 11 now. They introduced stabilization, so that totally
okay.
changed the game. It has gotten so good, the stabilization, and they do it all with software. There's
Mm,
no, it's not optical stabilization like it
okay.
is in my mirrorless cameras. They're doing that mechanically with optical
Right. Right.
stabilization. On the GoPro, it's all software.
Okay.
That changed the game, and there's a feature called hindsight that
Hmm.
totally changes the way that I use the camera. With upland hunting and GoPros in the past, it was you're recording all the time because you never know what's going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
right? Maybe out on the western prairies, your dog's on point, and now you got some time to turn the camera on, walk
Okay.
up, do it properly. But when you're grouse hunting, rough grouse
So you just
hunting,
hit record and go.
you have to, right?
Okay.
Because a rough grouse is not going to tolerate a dog for more than a couple of seconds.
Sure.
So it's a flushing bird. They will hold sometimes. You can get them to hold, but it's
Yeah.
not like prairie birds. So you have to record all the time, otherwise you're going to miss everything.
Sure.
So when you get home, now you have you got 100 gig of data that you have to
Mm,
sort through and cut that down to a 10-minute video.
sure.
This new feature called hindsight, basically it's always recording, but it's not writing that video to the SD card.
Hmm.
So essentially it's always on. And what it does is there's an option to choose the length that it will go backwards in time to start recording. So
Okay.
for example, if a grouse flushes now, I shoot, it falls. Now I push the button on. It takes the last previous 30 seconds, and now it
Oh.
writes that to the disc or
Oh.
to the card.
Wow.
Yeah, so from wherever I hit the button, it'll go back
Yeah.
30 seconds and then forward from there. So then
No
I'll hit stop
way.
maybe 30 seconds later. So now I have a 1 minute clip of just
Okay.
action. That
Oh
has
wow.
saved me you have no idea how many hours it has saved
Oh, I can
me
only imagine. Yeah.
because I don't have to sort through. Typically it takes me about 2 hours for every 1 minute of
Oh my
produced
gosh.
video. So
Yeah.
this has gotten me down. My workflow is way better now. So I'm
Sure.
probably under an hour per minute now, let's say,
That's incredible.
just because of my workflow changes that I've done. But a lot
Yeah.
of that's software and just learning, a
Right,
better
right.
way to
But
do
that, but
things.
that alone, again, just the time saving and
It's
storage on your cards, and I don't know.
it's amazing feature.
That's
It's I don't
incredible.
think GoPro has any idea that it would be used in this way,
Use, yeah, yeah. Right.
for the Upland Hunter. But
Sure.
man, am I thankful that they
Oh,
have that in there because
Upland,
it's
a
a game
GoPro Upland
changer.
edition.
Right, right. The only disadvantage is you get a little beep when you hit it, and you
Oh,
have to
okay.
edit. I edit it out because I don't
Yeah.
like to hear that in the video.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's
You just want to hear the
sloppy.
dog
So
bell and then the
right,
brush of
right,
the leaves
right.
and everything.
But I'll take that
Yeah.
any day. That's easy to edit out.
That's
So
pretty cool. Do
yeah,
you how was that for you? Again, it sounds like camera work and that piece of you was kind of natural for how you're wired. Does it
yeah.
ever take anything out of the experience for you when you're filming hunts, or is it natural for you now? Because I know a lot of people want to try to record their hunts and things like that.
It
For you, does
does.
it add to your experience? Does it take away?
It adds in the way of viewing it in July.
Hmm,
You kind of you pay for it in October and you enjoy it in July. So it does take away from the hunt. I'm not going to lie. It's a lot. There's a lot going on. You got
hmm.
camera and you got your GPS collar and your e-collar stuff,
Sure.
shotgun. You're trying to manage the dog. Um, it's not an easy thing to do. And
Hmm.
I sometimes I'll hunt without my cameras, which is not that often, but I
Sure.
do it and I do enjoy it. But then I'm kind of like, you got a little FOMO on maybe like last year I had a couple just freaking great shots and some roosters
Yeah.
that I wasn't wearing my camera. I'm like, what?
Oh, yeah.
As a
You wish you had it.
as a YouTube guy, it's like, oh
Yeah.
man, missed opportunity. But
Yep.
I hate to think of it that way because it kind of takes away from the whole experience in a certain way. But
Sure.
I kind of enjoy it. Like it's just become part of the whole experience for me. And
Yeah.
I have this huge library now of all
Yeah.
the
You can
past
look back
hunts and
on and
yeah, especially when you get this time of year and you
yeah,
get pumped
that's
up.
smart. I mean, June, July, August, man,
Yeah,
those can be
I,
hard, long months for a bird
I can
hunter.
tell with my YouTube has pretty good statistics on it, and I can
Yeah.
tell by the analytics that
Okay.
about mid July, the views start
Yeah.
headed upward.
That's
So,
the peak. That's awesome. That's
so
awesome.
yeah,
What's someone that's been doing this now quite a while,
yeah,
been on the YouTube filming hunts, equipment, all the things of doing some again really really quality videos. Your content's it's quality. The sound is good. I'm a big sound person, so I like
yeah.
it has quality sound, audio, all that good stuff. And so
Thanks.
you're producing a really really good product here. What's some advice I guess you'd give someone who says, hey, I want to film more of my hunts. I want to be able to have some of these memories and capture them. Do you have a couple pointers, some advice maybe on someone who wants to get into that? What do they need to be focusing on?
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest if you're going to use a GoPro or a POV camera like that, your biggest challenge is going to be battery power.
Hmm.
That's going to be the most frustrating thing about it. The batteries they put in them just aren't very good. You might get an hour of recording if you're lucky. And, they'll say 90 minutes or whatever, but it's never 90 minutes,
Sure.
especially when it's cold.
Hmm.
So I run an external battery pack on my headgear. A lot of
Oh,
guys run a cable down into their vest
okay.
from an external USB battery pack. And that will change everything because it totally removes that need to
Hmm.
constantly be paying attention to the GoPro will beep when it goes dead. And then
Sure.
you'll know, and some guys just stop and they'll change the battery. But I was doing that so much, it just got
Hmm.
so annoying.
Yeah.
And it would happen right when a great point or a nice
Of
shot
course.
and the camera goes dead. I mean,
Yeah.
it never failed.
Yeah.
So when I changed that, it reduced the complexity way
Hmm.
down. Now I
And
can hunt
so,
all
and when
day
you
on one.
say external battery pack, is it just a larger battery
Just
bank, basically?
yes, a USB
Okay.
battery bank like you would
Okay.
charge your phone offline
Okay.
with. It's literally mounted to my headgear.
Oh, so it's not in your vest.
It's not in my vest. I don't like
Okay.
it in my vest only because in the grouse woods, it's another wire that gets
Yeah.
caught in the branches. And to be honest, when I'm doing more of the vlog style or
Mm-hmm.
POV on me, I don't want the camera on my head.
Mm-hmm.
I think it looks sloppy. I'm not
Sure.
saying, people that do it, whatever.
Yeah.
So I want to
Yeah.
be able to remove it very quickly
Right.
and then do a shot, put it back right back on.
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm trying to conceal the camera so people
Yeah.
don't see
It's
it.
not a part of the experience. Yeah.
Right. Even like when there's a shadow and I can see my camera in the shadow, it
You're like,
bothers me.
cut it out.
Right. It's like we watch those like drone videos and you could see the shadow
Sure.
of the drone
Yeah,
on the ground.
yeah.
It's like, oh man, that's
Yeah.
terrible.
You don't want to know that. You don't want to be reminded that the drone's
Right.
there.
Yeah. You don't
Yeah.
want to know how the sausage is made. You just want to see
Exactly.
the
You
product,
just want to enjoy it.
So I'm always trying to do the stuff like that. From a software standpoint, the other challenge is, and a lot of my friends have gone through this, and a lot of people reach out to me and ask me the same questions. Filming it is the easy part. Okay, now you have a camera that's full of MP4 video files. Yeah. Now what do you do? And so many of my friends went out and bought GoPros. Like when I was getting into it, everybody bought one, right? And then it's like, how do I do with it? They're not good with computers.
There's the other side of it.
They would try to give them to me. Can you edit my video? I'm like, no. What are you talking about?
Pay me a lot of money, I might.
Yeah. So if you're going to get into it, you have to have a good machine, a good PC.
Sure.
Software has come a long way. I've used so many, but I've settled on a system called DaVinci Resolve, which is, in my opinion, is the best video editing software out there, especially for the value. They have a free version that is absolutely fantastic. I mean,
nice.
It's professional grade software. So,
but if someone wanted to kind of explore it a little bit more and
yes, yeah,
kind of
there's
test
other free software out there that maybe you could get a handle on the basics of cutting and video. If you want to get to that next level, you're going to have to update the software and learn it. Resolve is, my opinion, hands down the best.
Yeah.
So many resources on it, number one. And two, you can get the free version, which is super. So that's my advice. So don't try to do it on an old computer. You're gonna hate it. It's just gonna struggle, especially if you shoot in 4K, which I rarely do. Honestly, I don't.
It's mostly 1080. Are you doing?
I usually do 2.7K, which is what they call 1440p. It's kind of in between.
Okay.
And that gives me the ability to zoom a little bit on the GoPro because the GoPro is a fixed lens camera.
Oh, okay.
So I'll be able to punch in and still get that 1080p quality output on the final product. You can up convert to 4K. I may change to 4K. It's so much storage. That's the problem. I have so many discs, 12 terabyte discs. It gets to be
12 terabyte.
Yeah, it gets to be like endless, storage. Yeah. So it's all, how much you want to put into it. And 4K is going to kill you, especially with Upland stuff, because you're recording a lot.
So
even with
much.
That feature, feature on the GoPro, you're still going to be doing a lot of work, and you got to cut that video down to something manageable.
Yeah.
So I primarily produce it in 1080.
Okay.
So my recommendation is to start easy.
Yeah.
And go there and just have fun with it. Do it. Yeah. Don't do it for somebody else. Do it. Do it for your own sake and your dog to help you learn. And there's so many great channels out there today that it pushes all of us to be better, right? I mean, there's the last few years, man, there's been so much great Upland content by small, guys like me that you kind of watch their stuff. Man, how did he do that? And it's just like
probably helps you, change perspective and get some ideas even. And,
It's just like learning how to train your dog. You're going to see a guy do something, and then you have to know how to do it. Yeah. It's no different with video. It's just another addiction. But you got to be dedicated to it, and it's tough on YouTube. Is tough for the upland hunter. It's not
Sure.
I'm not going to make a lot of money.
Not the huge market of, some of
It's
these
not
other channels,
makeup
but
reviews or something,
right,
or
right,
whatever. But
exactly. I was even looking at your shirt, Cliff Enzor from
yeah, I'm a big fan of
Upland. I
Cliff and his
mean,
stuff.
he does a great job as well with some of
His
his
videos are
videos, and
awesome. Yeah,
yeah,
I really
again, helps you
enjoy.
kind of spark some ideas, even with podcast stuff. I'm looking at
Oh yeah,
other podcasts, not even in the hunting space sometimes, and they trigger an idea or a thought or an angle or things
right.
like that. So it's nice to be able to, learn from each other a little bit and
Yeah, yeah.
gain
Not
some.
everybody gives secrets out, but you can kind of like read between the lines
Right.
and figure out how they're doing stuff.
Exactly. Exactly.
But
That's so fun, man. So yeah, under 40 yards on YouTube, people can find it. And
yes, sir. Yep.
okay,
Yeah. Also,
that's
same handle on Instagram.
yeah,
I got more into photography too for
okay,
stills. So
yeah,
I really like those two formats.
yeah.
I love the YouTube thing, but man, I almost enjoy photography a little bit more.
Little less editing time, right?
I don't want to offend anybody, but it's way easier. I mean, there's so
Oh
good
yeah,
photographers out there.
oh
I am
yeah,
a complete hack amateur,
sure.
but I could put something up in just minutes versus, man, I got to
Sure.
edit that video. It's like,
That
oh,
whole
I'm in for a
video,
whole night or half a
yeah,
week or
it's a
whatever.
commitment. It's a commitment, I'm
It
sure.
is, yeah, yeah. So I like the instantaneous
Yeah,
photography stuff.
yeah.
That's cool. So
That's awesome. I got to give a shout out to our mutual friend Matt Davis. I think you did
yeah,
did Summit XT vest review? Did you do
yes, yeah.
recently? Okay.
What a great
Yeah.
vest. Yeah, I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to using it.
Yeah.
I've only used it for training so far. It's been great.
Okay.
So I had Sidekick. I bought that last year, so now I got the XT. I saw it at Pheasant
Heck yeah.
Fest, and I'm like, I
Oh
have
yeah,
to.
yeah.
Yeah,
I've not seen an XT in person yet, but
yeah,
I got
yeah,
the Summit and the Sidekick as well. But those
yeah. I
things have
met
been
Matt
awesome.
and the whole crew, and it was
Nice.
terrific. So
That's
great
awesome.
guy. So big fan
That's
of his
great.
stuff and
Yeah,
his
I
efforts.
finally got the smell out of my
I,
the
what
lone
did it
quail in
take?
my
Yeah, what did it
just some
take?
laundry detergent and a good scrubbing and soak in the tub
Really?
outside. So yeah,
No
it worked like a
kidding.
charm. Yeah, and Matt's he's got a whole page on his website. He actually sent it to me on like washing care, and
Really?
yeah, you just use a little bit of detergent, put it in
Okay.
a bucket, kind of get it all soapy, and you really you're rubbing the material against each other.
Okay.
That's
That
kind of
was
the
enough.
friction that creates the wash of it, I guess.
I saw your story on it, and
Yeah,
so
it worked like a charm, man.
that was all to it. All
That's
there was
all.
to it.
That's all it was. I mean, thing looks brand new. I mean, it smells great. That nasty, foul smell is
Yeah,
is
yeah,
gone. So
yeah. The
yeah,
Sidekick's a great
it
system
is.
for training. I really like
It
that
is.
vest.
I've been rocking that actually with no shoulder harness recently,
I did the
and
same
I'm
last year.
just
In fact, I
yeah.
bought it without shoulder harnesses, and
Okay.
then I went back to Matt to get the shoulder harness for the season. But for
Yeah.
training, it was great
For
without it. I
training,
didn't really
I
need
love
it.
it.
Yeah,
Kind of you don't. It's just like wearing a belt and put all your
yeah,
stuff in there, and
yeah,
I really enjoy
yeah,
that.
yeah.
That's awesome. That's
Good
awesome. Well, man,
product.
we're gonna. Yeah, no, it's a great product. Matt's an awesome dude, so I love it.
Yeah.
Well, Dave, as we kind of wrap things up here, I got my couple things we like to end with, and
Okay.
that's kind of the first thing is, and we talked about a little bit of advice for someone wanting to get into some camera work and video stuff, but for someone wanting to get into just upland hunting, they want to get into hunting, maybe get a bird dog, whatever it might be. What's your piece of advice that you would share with them?
If you can find a mentor, that's going to be a big deal. I've taken some younger friends' kids out, things like that. To me, that's the best way to have someone show you, because it can be intimidating. And even if going to preserve, honestly, is pretty
Sure.
intimidating.
Yeah.
It's kind of like going to shoot trap for the first time. Normally it's a big crowd of people. You're on a team of 5. You're standing up there. That's very intimidating. Public land hunting is probably the easiest way to start. You may not have any success, but you're not going to have to perform for anybody, and you're
Sure.
just going to learn. So I would recommend finding a mentor if you can, and then go by yourself. That's honest. If you go with a group of people, it changes the dynamic in my
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah.
You're more worried about what they're doing, and there's a lot going on. You got a shotgun, you got
Yeah.
your brain is going 50
Yeah.
directions. I would recommend going by yourself.
That's a good piece of advice. I don't think anyone's shared
Yeah.
that before, and that makes a lot of sense because you add other people, even one, two, or three,
Yeah.
that can add a lot of just pressure.
Right. Right.
With trying to understand and learn yourself.
Right. And then once you do learn some things, then
Yeah,
going with a group, it will be beneficial.
yeah,
Um,
love that. Let's go, man. That's very good. All right, rapid fire round. We'll go through a couple questions here. Give me your off the cuff answer, and we'll bring this thing home.
all right.
All right, brother. So,
Sure.
for you, what came first, the dog, the gun, or the bird?
The bird.
Bird.
For
Okay,
sure.
that's
Yeah.
that's what drew you in.
Yep. It was definitely the bird and the family events and the trip, and it was all about the bird. The
Nice.
partridge. We were
Yes.
partridge
Yeah.
hunters. Yeah.
There you go. Love it. Dave, what gun are you carrying into the field and why?
Guns have always been just tools for me.
Okay.
I have an old. Ah man, I have a few old guns. I like to switch it up, so I'll go between my auto loader to my over under, and then I most recently just bought a side by side this summer.
Okay.
So I've only shot it once, so that'll be in the mix.
Okay.
Like I say, I'm not a big gun guy. I've always shot trap, and
Sure.
I've won trap competitions and leagues with a $200 used gun off the rack at Gander Mountain. So
Nice. Oh, Gander Mountain. I
you
love
remember
me some
Gander
Gander.
Mountain?
I remember Gander
Yeah.
very
My,
well.
my first shotgun was bought
Yeah.
there, and
Yeah.
I
Mine as
won
well,
Top
actually.
Gun with that gun.
No way.
Yeah,
That's
guys on my
awesome.
teams had like $5,000 Parazzis,
Sure.
and I got this rusted old Browning
That's
BPS.
awesome.
Yeah, they were not
Oh,
happy. But so
no, I'm sure. I'm sure.
hardware doesn't matter a whole lot in my mind.
Yep.
But like anybody, I like nice things, and
Sure. Sure.
so I'm kind of getting into that more.
Yeah. That's cool, man. I love
So
that. No, Gander Mountain. That's where I got my first one as well. It was my dad and I
yeah,
went
yeah,
and picked up my pump action
right.
from a Gander. So
And
that's fun.
for that reason, I'm not a sub gauge guy. I'm sorry to report, because I have a
No,
12 gauge loader.
say it ain't so.
I like the big bores.
You're
So, and
just
I'm not going to hide
shooting
from it.
12s all out. Good Lord.
It's the most flexible round. I can shoot a 7/8 round. I can shoot an
Oh
ounce
my
and
gosh.
5/8. I can
I
shoot
need
anything I want to that gun.
I need to vet these guests better.
It's unbelievable. I mean, it's the most versatile gun there is. You guys
Just
are at a huge
blowing
disadvantage.
birds to pieces. Good Lord. Oh, that's good, man. That's good. All right, we got a couple more here.
It's out of spite. It's like my truck. At
Yeah.
this point, it's
Well,
out of
no.
spite.
Yeah, of course, of course. You kind of do your own thing. It's funny enough. My next question on here was pick one gauge to use for the rest of your life.
I guess it's going to have to be a 12.
We're gonna move
I
right
honestly
past that.
looked for my side by side in 20, but this 12 gauge came up, and it was the craziest deal I've ever seen. So I bought
Well,
it.
you have to. You have to.
Right.
So that's funny. All right, favorite breed of dog besides the short hair or Vizsla, because you've owned both.
I am going to have to say, God, I mean, it's obviously as a grouse guy, it's between a setter and a pointer.
Okay.
I probably would have to go with pointer, honestly, because
Okay.
I like
Short coats, man. Short coats.
I like the low maintenance. I mean, I'm not going to lie. My buddy's got a setter, beautiful dogs, terrific grouse dogs, but man, that's a lot of maintenance.
It's a lot of hair, man. It's a lot of hair.
I mean, my short hair, I could just hose him off. The Vizsla, he's dry in 5 minutes.
He's good to
It's
go.
so good. It's so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I would say
nice.
a pointer. That would be
Yeah.
my choice.
Yeah, they're all-
I love that. Especially, I'm infatuated with the Western fields now, so I could just see a pointer just
Yeah.
busting across the prairie. So
Just doing their thing.
doing their thing.
Favorite bird to hunt and why?
Obviously, the rough grouse, just the tradition, the challenge. It's still the most difficult bird that I've hunted, even though I have the most experience with it.
Mm-hmm.
They just won't tolerate anything. They won't tolerate pressure. They won't tolerate you, the dog. So it's always an adventure. And I love the woods, and they're part of the woods. And
Yeah. Love it. All right, your go-to snack on a hunting trip.
snack. Occasionally, I will make like smoked fish,
Oh,
and I will bring that with.
Wow.
So that is usually a big treat. So
Okay.
normally, like
You're just cruising in your SUV, smoke fish in the passenger seat, just popping
it'll be
these.
some stinky catfish or like white bass.
Yeah.
They'll smoke up real nice, and
There you
they make
go.
for a really good snack.
That's awesome, man. You bougie.
Yeah, yeah. It's not every year though. I think
Yeah.
I got a bag or two in my freezer. I might
Okay.
start to thaw now and get those in the
That's
smoker.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, and then beverage of choice after a hunt.
Oh man. At night, a cold beer can't be beat. When I'm in the field, any of the Gatorade style drinks are good.
Yeah.
Or water. I mean, water always works, but I'm not a
Yep.
big drink. I'm not a big drink guy, I guess. But,
Yep. There you go. Have you tried the not Under Armour. That's the stuff you wear. Body Armor. Body Armor drink.
Bardia. No, I've heard of
Body
it.
Armor.
I've heard you talk about it.
Oh, really? Oh, well, I think my buddy Jeremy, he got me hooked on that.
Yeah.
And it's now in
Maybe
the
that
gas
was
stations and everything, and it's good. I like it a lot.
Body
It's like
Armor?
Body Armor. I think the base is
Okay.
like coconut water or something like that.
Oh, I
And
might
it's
try
it's
that.
like it's like a typical Gatorade kind of thing, but it's different. I think it's a little bit lighter than a Gatorade, where Gatorade has that, I don't know, powerful juice kind of flavor.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
So yeah, if you're at a Casey's or something, check them out.
Maybe they'll have a flat at Costco or something.
Yeah, yeah. Dude, that's awesome. Well, Dave, this has been so much fun, man. Finally getting to catch up with you, learn a little bit more of your story, kind of what you're doing behind the scenes, and learn about some of your passions. So thanks for doing this, man.
Absolutely. Well, it's my pleasure, and you got a great show. Really enjoyed it over the years, and appreciate me having me on.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much, and I'm sure we'll be talking here soon.
Absolutely.
Going into the season here very close. Good luck to you and your adventures. And if you want to meet up in Nebraska ever, let me know. And
yeah, I'm looking forward to following
with
along.
you.
Right, absolutely. That'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be a blast, man. All right, well, have a great rest of your night. And I'm off to hockey right now, so I gotta run.
Excellent.
All right, man. Take care.
All right, see ya.
And Dave, hang on one sec before you hit stop.
Okay.
And that's a wrap of episode 92. Dave, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me and unpack your journey. That never gets old for me. I hope it doesn't get old for the listeners. I love hearing someone's story of what keeps them going upland hunting, what keeps them going chasing upland birds, training their dogs, taking new trips, and exploring new lands. So I really appreciate your time. Hey guys, don't forget, download Onyx Hunt to save 20% on your annual membership with Onyx. Use code ROOKIE20, save you 20% off your subscription with Onyx Hunt. Today, it is a necessity heading into a new season, chasing upland birds. It's going to unlock hundreds and hundreds of thousands of acres of publicly accessible land for you and your dog to chase upland birds on. Head over to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, leave a rating and review for this podcast. I would so appreciate taking time, leave a review, leave a rating on either of those platforms. It greatly, greatly helps the show get out there, keeps growing, and get out there to more hunters just like you. I think that's everything. Until next time, go put some miles on those boots and follow your favorite bird dog. Take care.